Now I want to add these comments from Jung's Red Book for Our Time, Searching for Soul Under Postmodern Conditions. Again, this is from Thomas Arst's essay on page 30, The Coming Aeon. Jung strikes a prophetic tone in his Red Book. However, despite being certain that it is an important work of revelatory character, eventually to gain a broader audience for its visionary elements, he does not see himself as a prophet. I will be no savior, no lawgiver, no master teacher unto you. You are no longer little children. Upon further review, Jung's first picture at the beginning of the chapter, the way of what is to come, does hint at his notion of thinking in astronomic and astrological terms. His narrative of the individuation process directly corresponds to the insight that the Christian age, the Piscean age, is coming to an end, and that mankind is standing at the doorstep of a new age, the Aquarian Age. Humanity is experiencing birth pains, since a new image of God is unfolding. The Red Book is a highly complex and indeed an enormous volume, and anything but light reading. It does not offer itself for a quick skim, but rather it grows in substance for the persistent, as with homeopathic doses and small bites. Although amenable to manifold perspectives and interpretations, it already is certain that the Red Book is going to call for a new view of Jung's life and oeuvre. Furthermore, one can confidently presume that Jung's rank in the intellectual history of the 20th century must be reevaluated, since his searching for his own myth comes at an epochal turning point in human history and the history of human consciousness. In this sense, the Red Book serves as a document of Jung's discovery of his very personal myth, life as the unfolding of the individuation process. That simultaneously represents an account of the condition necessary for the development of a much-needed new collective myth, but differently in the form of a thesis here. Jung's personal individuation process could resemble Lyotard's Petit Récit, whereas the new myth of a collective individuation process has the potential to be Lyotard's Grand Récit, a grand narrative. In a late letter to Sir Herbert Reed, dated 2 September 1960, Jung writes, "The great problem of our time is that we don't understand what is happening to the world. We are confronted with the darkness of our soul, the unconscious. It sends up its dark and unrecognizable urges. It hollows out and hacks up the shapes of our culture and its historical dominance. We have no dominance anymore. They are in the future. Our values are shifting. Everything loses its certainty. Even sanctissima causalitas has descended from the throne of the axioma and has become a mere field of probability. Who is the awe-inspiring guest who knocks at our door pretentiously? Fear precedes him, showing that ultimate values already flow towards him. Our hitherto believed values decay accordingly, and our only certainty is that the new world will be something different from what we were used to." It seems as if postmodern sensitivities, perplexities, and intuitions are already shimmering through in this letter. Similarly, in the midst of Western spiritual and philosophical atony, following the collapse of Occidental metaphysics and political master dialogues, Jean-François Lyotard came to the philosophical realization that postmodernity does not offer a meaning-endowing and integrative metanarrative anymore. After the end of modernity, he could find no grand narrative to provide people with an all-encompassing explanation for their position in the world. From today's point of view, one may argue that on a psychological level, the Red Book, with its prototype of the concept of the individuation process, qualifies as a model for the development of a new collective myth in postmodern society. The Red Book encourages the discovery of the cosmos of the inner world, and in it the birth of the new God. With the help of the insights provided by Jungian psychology, one is aided in the development of one's own personal myth and in the rediscovery of the soul. Graf Durkheim's fundamental maxim of daily life as spiritual exercise might serve as a trail marker to be followed on this path. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of a living God. In his self-experiment, God not only found his own myth, but also the new God and a new religion, about which he would remain silent for decades to come. The Red Book was made accessible only to some selected few of Jung's family and his inner circle, and for years it was kept private in his personal library. In retrospect, the experiences of the years 1912 through 1928 eventually turned into the foundation of analytical psychology, as Jung would write at the end of his life in Memories, Dreams, Reflections. Quote, "It has taken me virtually 45 years to distill within the vessel of my scientific work the things I experienced and wrote down at that time. As a young man, my goal had been to accomplish something in my science, but then I hit upon this stream of lava, and the heat of its fires reshaped my life. That was the primal stuff which compelled me to work upon it, and my works are a more or less successful endeavor to incorporate this incandescent matter into the contemporary picture of the world. The years when I was pursuing my inner images were the most important in my life. In them, everything essential was decided. It all began then. The later details are only supplements and clarifications of the material that burst forth from the unconscious, and it first swamped me. It was the prima materia for a lifetime's work."